Hi, happy Friday. I almost said happy Thursday because that's the kind of week that we're having. So I finished Joseph and Asenath yesterday and I presented on it today at school. So that was exciting. And it was really fun to be able to share that not only with you guys, but with my classmates because a lot of them had never heard it before either. And for a lot of my other classmates, they're also interested in the theological anthropology of the body. And so having a story that celebrates our humanness and our creatureliness and our createdness and all the good, messy parts of that, it's such a celebratory story. So that was really fun. Today we are doing Psalm 11. We're back to the Psalms, and I forgot my Bible at home. So the great thing about being at theology school and with the school that has the biggest theological library in the entire country, I get to borrow a Bible. So we're using this beast today because I don't know. I was just feeling like all blinged out, so I loved it. So I'm taking this. I don't even know what version this is. Oh, what does it say? Catholic Heirloom Edition. Okay, great. We're gonna use this. Psalm 11 for the leader of David. In the Lord I take refuge. How can you say to me, flee to the mountain like a bird? For see, the wicked bend the bow. They place the arrow on the string to shoot in the dark at the upright of heart. When the pillars are overthrown, what can the just man do? The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. His eyes behold. His searching glance is on mankind. The Lord searches the just and the wicked. The lover of violence he hates. He rains upon the wicked fiery coals and brimstone. A burning blast is their allotted cup. For the Lord is just. He loves just deeds. The upright shall see his face. Okay, so the first thing that's sticking out to me is this language about the wicked bending the bow, placing the arrow on the string, and shooting in the dark at the upright of heart. So that is in the ancient Near East. There's a lot of not symbolism, but iconography of God being portrayed almost like the Sagittarius symbol, but not a centaur. It's like that Assyrian and sometimes Egyptian and Hebrew idea of like Yahweh with he's got his arrow back and he's seen leading the charge like on a chariot, and there's a few different deities and a few different symbols of God in that showing that. So this person is the wicked is doing that. So that is setting up somebody who's doing something parallel to what's in the, like using something that God normally does for good and doing it for wicked. And then the second thing that I really found interesting is this sentence where in verse 5 where it says the Lord searches the just and the wicked, the lover of violence he hates. So it's interesting that it's not somebody that's doing violence, it's that somebody that is enjoying violence because something that I've been thinking about a lot lately is the violence of life and how so much of our modern life takes us outside of our body, and a lot of like the transhumanist technologies and things like that, they are changing how the body operates, and a lot of the other newer technologies change the way that we relate to nature, relate to the world, and relate to our own bodies. And because a lot of the ways that our body interacts with us and the way our bodies interact with the world can be very violent, and that is not necessarily a bad thing. Like birth is violent, but there's also a lot of other instances, even the way that gardens grow and things like that looks like violence, like the way that a seed explodes open and bursts up and out, like that's a fundamental act of change that if you were to watch in slow motion is in some ways violent. And the same thing as far as like personal growth, all of those things, like major change tends to look and feel violent, and not in that kind of like words are violence kind of a thing, but there's an energetic component to that potentially can be true. So before I get too off on a tangent, so the lover of violence he hates, and so it's not that violence isn't sometimes necessary or that violence is not a part of life. It's that people who enjoy and seek that out is something that he hates. So something that I've been thinking about a lot in my relationship to technology, as far as somebody that grew up in the 90s and had, video games available and like all kinds of other things, and like a lot of violence on TV and through social media, and like kind of witnessing this almost like mainlining violent content, you lose your ability to discern like real violence in real life and what's violence online. And it's like almost like this onslaught. So it's its own psyop, but that's again in a whole nother conversation. And so you get kind of numbed out to it, and so it stops becoming effective, and it stops becoming um, something that even like doesn't really even pierce your heart anymore. Witnessing it or hearing about it, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, here's another day. And so I think part of my work in the new year is to kind of take an even deeper step back from social media, not so much Substack, because this is something I'm really loving doing, but taking a step back from things that are terrorizing to my spirit. So that's like a lot of violent movies or scary movies, things like that, and just kind of trying to stay soft to my community by bringing my influence, like instead of it being out as much, and kind of focusing it in so that I can stay present and stay soft to what what is what's mine to do in the moment. Because I think the global vision that we all have is amazing and it's technologically available, but it also kind of creates this level of numbness. And so really, instead of thinking about things on a grand scale all the time, it's more like almost like having I've always had a little bit more of a focus on a global vision and things like that. And especially when you're part of a religion that's universal, the way that Christianity is, it kind of, you keep, the call is always to like include more people and evangelize more and have more. And I think with what I'm looking at, it's actually going to be important for me to kind of bring it back in and like much smaller, like who are my people, what is mine to take care of, what is mine to look at. And so it feels like less of a burden, and I to be less informed about what's going on globally and just staying more informed with the people that are mine to care for. And that's a way that I can stay really present to my people and what's my responsibilities. And so some of that is going to be stripping away some of those things that I've kind of let slip through my net, as far as content and things like that I take in, because it's just not helpful. It makes me kind of numbed out. So that's what I'm thinking about today. And I'm going to take this beast of a Bible and go put it back on the shelf and get to some homework. But it was great to do this, and I hope you guys all have a great weekend.